championship. And I didn't think it could get any higher. But then the way that I lost that lockdown to Bobby Roode, it made me start thinking. It made me go home and then kind of doubt myself if this was for me, if this was something I still wanted to do. So I went home and I spent time with my family, drank some beer with my friends, and they all kind of said the same thing, that something was wrong, that something was missing. And then I realized, because I came out that tunnel, I got in this ring, and I realized something was missing. That was me hearing the crowd just go crazy. So I came back at Slammiversary. I ended Crimson's undefeated streak. I got into Bound for Glory series and did exactly what I said I was going to do. And as the competition got stronger, as the names got bigger, I got just a little bit better. So right now, I know there's 3 guys in the back right now standing there watching a monitor. 3 guys that are standing in my way to become the world heavyweight champion again. So I would like for those 3 guys to come out to the stage so I can pick who I'm going to be facing this Sunday at No Surrender. Now we got Samoa Joe right there, one of the toughest guys to ever step foot inside of a wrestling ring. That if you blink, he'll make you tap out in a heartbeat. And then you got Jeff Hardy. See, I don't have to tell these people how good Jeff Hardy is. That's why I choose you, Bully Ray. So won't you come on down here, because I got something to say to you, man to man and face to face.
You got something to say? Go ahead and say it. I'll face to face with you.
Bully, you've been pointing the finger that I'm the leader of Aces and Eights for months, and I've proved you wrong. Last year, you ended my chance for glory. This year, I'm ending yours.
Don't put your freaking hands on me, sir.
I know exactly who you are. This Sunday, you find out who I am. Sorry about your damn luck.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you. Switching things up a little bit, leading off with a TNA audio clip, as of course, No Surrender. The pay-per-view is tomorrow. I've got my predictions certain to go wrong coming up in this hour. We've got some interesting news and notes, everything from the game having a new due to the Nature Boy possibly being in the next Hangover movie. All that coming up this hour. And in the second segment, we've got, this should definitely be interesting, local independent wrestler Cory Kastle, someone who I recently befriended doing a couple of local house shows. He's going to join the program and talk to us a little bit about his comeback to the ring following major brain surgery just over a year ago. It's a hell of a story, and I'm certainly looking forward to hearing it and having him share it with you guys. Talked a little bit about it with him prior to this. But it's definitely some riveting stuff, and I think you'll definitely enjoy it. Also, like I said, we've got news and notes today in wrestling history. We're a week away. I can't believe it. We're a week away from D'Lo Brown coming to the area here, of course, courtesy of George's Cards and Collectibles over in New Falls Road. That's right, 1 week from today, July. Wow, I'm a couple of months behind myself here. It's amazing what sleep deprivation will do. That is September 15th, of course, from 1 to 3 p.m. D'Lo Brown will be over at the George's Cards and Collectibles over on New Falls Road. For more information, you can give him a call at 215-943-2475, or, of course, you can log on to georgescollectibles.com, and they'll be able to hook you up for it. I'll, of course, be there. You can tune in next week. We've got the full show slated next week. However, I believe 2 weeks from now, the 22nd, is where I'll unfortunately be preempted due to other programming. It happens, but we'll have a webisode, of course, online on the YouTube page. Just look up Pro Wrestling Weekly. A couple of little bits of news and notes before we get to the phones. I know you've been waiting anxiously. Of course, the game having a new due. TMZ, well, they've got pictures of Triple H sporting a new buzz cut look, which WWE has used to further the retirement storyline on various social media outlets. Of course, after getting beat by Brock Lesnar, now if you look over at TMZ, you'll see that there's a buzz cut going on with the game. And for people who have followed him for a long time, it's definitely shocking, to say the least, as, I mean, he sported that long hair, I mean, going back to his days as Terra Ryzing back in WCW, going back to like 1994. Who'd have thought I'd throw Terra Ryzing out there? Go figure. But yeah, he's had that going for at least the last, 15, 16, 17 years. So to see him finally cut off those long locks, kind of like with The Undertaker, as we had seen, earlier this year, it's definitely a shocker, but I think something that over time we'll get over. And one other big news story: the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. That's right. There's a push for him to be in the third of the Hangover movies. Fans of Ric Flair have started a social media campaign to have the Nature Boy added to the Hangover 3, which starts shooting soon for a projected May 2013 release. Flair spoke with Scott Fishman of the Miami Herald and is actually just fine with the idea. He said, quote, "I could play anything as long as I'm not the guy getting married." True, he's already been married and divorced enough times. The short write-up also looks at Flair's daughter, Ashley, who's wrestling as Charlotte in WWE's NXT developmental territory. So interesting stuff there. And as I last looked, there were over 5,500 likes for that page of pushing for Ric Flair to be in the third Hangover movie. So I guess we'll have to wait and see in theaters. We've got some more movie news coming up. We'll get that in a little bit later. But first, let's get over to the phones. Let's kick things off with Old School. Old School, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
How's it going? I was trying to see what's going on with Triple H.
Well, I kind of gave you a little bit of the scoop there right before you hopped on the line here. Of course, after losing at SummerSlam to Brock Lesnar, it looks like he's leaning more toward being behind the scenes, doing a lot more of the corporate stuff, kind of eventually taking over the reins for Vince McMahon. Although Vince has already stated in interviews he's not going anywhere, even though he just turned 67 years old. He's not ready to hand over the reins just yet. But the new buzz cut sported by Triple H, you can check that out at TMZ.com. That'll kind of give you an idea that he's leaning a little bit more toward the business side as opposed to the long blonde ponytail that he sported for all those years.
What about Paul Heyman and CM Punk? What's up with them two?
Well, if you'd seen Raw this past Monday, CM Punk, of course, in Chicago, his hometown, and deciding on Labor Day to take the night off and. But not before involving himself in John Cena's Falls Count Anywhere match against Alberto Del Rio, getting himself involved, and then as he gets into the passenger side of a car that's ready to drive off, you see that Paul Heyman is in the driver's seat, and that certainly builds an interesting hook for this Monday's Raw, which is good because they're going to need all the help they can get as they're going against some major television competition as the start of the NFL football season, and of course the Monday Night Football doubleheader this coming Monday.
What about Cole Steve Austin? Everybody had knee surgery or something?
Yeah, Austin had knee surgery. Thanks so much for the call. I got to get rolling here, but Austin, yeah, he had surgery to repair his knee, and a lot of rumors were going around that he's trying to work toward a WrestleMania 29 comeback, and those rumors, at least according to both Austin as well as JR, those rumors are incorrect. Austin's looking to get back into filming movies. He did have the opportunity to film one before the injury, which is actually going to be released in November. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Hogan starring alongside action star Steven Seagal. But, Austin looking to get the knee back in shape, to get back into movies and doing that sort of thing, not necessarily a return to the ring. Although he said he hasn't ruled it out, that doesn't mean that he's necessarily confirmed it either. So, as much as we want to see the Rattlesnake back in the ring, it doesn't look like it's going to happen for WrestleMania, at least not yet. There are no confirmations at this point. Now, we mentioned Raw in Chicago, and I think somebody who might be able to give us a little bit more of a closer perspective on that would be the one, the only Dan from Chicago, longtime loyal caller and listener. Dan, what's going on?
How you doing, Fearon?
Pretty good. So what's the atmosphere like in Chi-Town after your boy decided to take the night off?
It was. I didn't go to the show. I don't know if it's because I'm lazy, but I would rather sit at home and watch it on a big screen than having some dude getting up every 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. So I was happy sitting in the comfort of my own home watching it, and I tell you, I loved Raw, especially the ending. That was great.
Sounds like personal experience talking with the constant bathroom trips there as far as something I'm sure you've dealt with before at a live show. I think it hits kind of close to home.
Yeah, it sucks. So I was more than happy to watch it at home.
Fair enough.
I don't know if people remember this or not, but during that infamous interview that CM Punk had a year ago, he did say he's a Paul Heyman guy.
Yes, he did. Of course, from back in June of last year, I think it was.
So I wonder why it took so long for them to get this rolling.
Well, I think it was first a matter of getting Heyman to work with WWE. I mean, this was before Lesnar came back. This was
right.
So at first it was the matter of getting Lesnar back and then getting Heyman as his mouthpiece. And then when Heyman was in there, it was getting a little bit comfortable. It's like, hey, while you're here, CM Punk said he's one of your guys. Why not, see if we can do something with him? I mean, that's my guess. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes necessarily.
Right. I've been reading stuff on message boards about Kevin Nash possibly doing another NWO. Is that true, or is that just speculation with dirt sheets?
It's probably just speculation with dirt sheets. I mean,
okay.
Is it possible? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are thinking with CM Punk now aligning himself with Heyman. I mean, I've heard talk of like either the beginnings of a large heel stable, kind of led by Paul Heyman, or perhaps even a return of the Dangerous Alliance.
Okay, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would. But we'll see. I mean, it's certainly interesting to say the least.
I have a feeling this Monday now. I haven't read anything, so I'm not spoiling anything. But I have a feeling that him and CM Punk and Bret Hart are going to have a little face-to-face off because of the whole respect factor. Because Bret was all about respect back in the 90s, and I think they're going to bring that up in a face-to-face off. What do you think?
That's certainly a possibility, and the other added factor is that this, I believe, is Bret Hart's first WWE appearance in, the former Molson Center, now known as the Bell Center, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, since that infamous night back in November of 1997.
So they definitely can work out a storyline with that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot there. It's just a matter of, all right, which direction do you go in, and I think that's what makes it so intriguing.
Right. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I'd like to switch gears and talk about TNA for a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. You saw Impact, right? Or
Yeah, I got the chance to see most of it. My schedule doesn't allow me to see it live, so I got to go back and watch it. And there's not much of a window between Thursday and now. So, but I got a chance to see most of it. It's some of the little filler things, I'll admit, I kind of skipped past. But
I have a little bit of a problem with, not that they kidnapped that guy Mike. They put him in that room and handcuffed him and beat him up. I didn't have a problem with that.
The B film torture, interrogation. Gotcha.
What bothered me was Hogan got a phone call from the VP of the Aces of 8. Now, this is you, blah, blah, blah. Now, when he got done with the phone call, you would think, in a storyline purposes, he'd be like, hey, how did this dude get my number?
Yeah, and I mean, as you were bringing it up, that was something that was kind of going in the back of my mind, like, how many people have Hogan's number? I mean, seriously. And why can't I get it so I can get him here on the show? I mean, if you're handing it out to, your sworn bitter enemy, I mean...
Right.
At least make friends with me. Come on now, brother.
And when they're fighting, you know how the arm breaker, I won't say who it is, I don't want to spoil anything, but when the arm breaker was beating up, when they were fighting at the end with
Austin Aries, yeah.
Okay, wouldn't you, when you're if you're in that quote-unquote situation, okay, and somebody's attacking you that you don't know who it is, and they have this not really good mask, okay, why not rip the mask off?
Again, sometimes you have to let certain things, as far as logic, you have to suspend disbelief, suspend logic a little bit. I mean, that would make sense and true. It's not like he has a Rey Mysterio or Sin Cara type mask that Cody Rhodes is continually unsuccessfully trying to rip off.
I have this problem with overthinking things.
Well, no. You know what? I don't necessarily think that it's a problem, and it's not necessarily a bad thing as far as, providing different level analysis. That's all. I mean, you're kind of going beyond the storyline and throwing logic in there, and that's something that you'd think that the writers would do as opposed to just throwing it out there.
Right.
There you go. Maybe you should apply to WWE or TNA. Maybe you can be the logic consultant or something.
Right. And in this Final Four, I'm hoping it's James Storm winning it, but if he doesn't, I'd really like to see Bully Ray get a shot.
Yeah, I mean, he has definitely earned it. He has had, the last 18 months have been amazing. I mean, he's gone from this kind of overweight, going through the motions guy as part of the Dudleys. I mean, now he's gotten this, this Bully Ray thing. He's gotten, the bully gimmick, the Hell's Kitchen, New York. He's lost a bunch of weight. He's talked about having the best calves in the business. I mean, he's got a whole bunch of things going for him. And, I think that he definitely deserves a title run for all the hard work that he's put in.
And the storyline, too, with Abyss and him, it reminds me, Joe Parks. And Joe Parks and Bully Ray, it reminded me of Triple H and Eugene a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I can definitely kind of see that. Anyway, I got to run. Thanks so much for the call, Dan. Appreciate it as always. Yeah, I can see a little bit of a comparison there, but I think, I don't know. Abyss was definitely a lot bigger than Eugene was, and even though they were both a little bit mentally unstable, I don't know. It's I can see the comparison, but it's kind of thin, I think. All right, we'll get one more here before we take care of a little bit of business. Let's get to Nick, who's calling in from L.A. Nick, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Okay, how are you doing? I got a couple questions. One is regarding 2 weeks ago on TNA that they had a guy come out and attack the champ.
Austin Aries, yeah.
Yeah. And he hit him with some kind of a weapon and let him down. And this guy kind of looks like Jeff Hardy, because he does have his hair kind of in a short ponytail, and it kind of looks like him from a distance. Could that be Jeff Hardy?
I don't know. I mean, they haven't made any kind of allusions to him, and unlike James Storm or AJ Styles, who they've questioned the integrity of, I mean, he isn't exactly a name that the integrity has been questioned. Yet on the other hand, he has made some questionable decisions in the past. Of course, you have to go back to his title match with Sting, where he came out in no condition to wrestle. And, of course, that match lasted about 2 minutes and infuriated a lot of people. So, I mean, is there a possibility that Jeff's a part of it? Could they go in that direction? Absolutely. But, I don't know. I think because the roster's so thin, I wouldn't read too much into who's underneath the masks until they actually unmask somebody.
And the last thing I want to say, too.
Okay, real quick.
Before I jump over to WWE just for a second. And that is... I was told that, they're not going to possibly unmask some more people come down to Glory. When that happens small, they're going to unmask more people. They're going to get, that's supposed to be, is the plan now.
Corey?
Put you on hold.
Hello?
Sorry, what was that, Nick?
They're going to possibly amass more people when it comes to tomorrow's pay-per-view.
Well, we'll certainly see. Time will definitely tell on that. Thanks so much for the call. I gotta get rolling, Nick. Interesting to see where we're going to be going with that. Anyway, where we're going with this show, at least on the other side, we've got independent wrestler Cory Kastle. He's on the line. We're going to get to him on the other side of a little bit of business, and then we'll get to Ron a little bit later. We've got more news and notes, a ton still to do here on Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.